Okay, well, welcome to Training Bites. Today we're going to talk about importing inventory adjustments, transfers, store-to-store transfers, and receiving. So we're importing transactions. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to put them in the chat window on your Ring Central toolbar. I will have a Q&A at the end, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. So welcome to Training Bites. My name is Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems and your hostess for Training Bites, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. When you create inventory adjustments to fix quantity, you know that you have to select items one at a time and do one adjustment at a time. A lot of clicking, a lot of work. Or when you're selecting items on a receiving or selecting items on a store-to-store transfer, again, you can't do a bulk select. You literally pick the items one at a time. So that's why we're going to talk about importing these transactions today. I'm going to show you how to create a CSV, from an Excel spreadsheet, or even a text file from Notepad or WordPad, how to import the CSV or text files into a transaction like adjustments, transfers, receiving. Notice I didn't say purchasing. There isn't a mechanism in Counterpoint to import POs. So just inventory adjustments, transfers, receiving. When you import into a transaction, it does come over to Counterpoint as an unposted transaction. So therefore, I'll show you how to run the edit list to review the transactions before they're posted. And then, of course, once you post, you want to look at some reports. In this example, history reports. So just some importing basics. Again, I mentioned that you can import inventory adjustments, receivings, and transfers. You can also import your physical inventory file. We aren't covering that today, but just so you know, it's a possibility. And no matter what you're receiving into or what you're importing into, it can be a CSV or a TXT, WordPad, Notepad. When you import, Counterpoint only cares about two things: the item number or the barcode and the quantity. If you're importing gridded item values, you must use the barcode associated with each color and size. So the item number isn't going to work. You have to use the barcode with the color and size. These are just screenshots of a CSV file. When you're working in Excel, it defaults to an XLS by and large. So you want to convert it to a CSV. And then there's some examples of a notepad and a WordPad document. And here's what I want you to notice. Look over to the CSV first. See how this first line is kind of descriptive? This is kind of note to myself. What does this field mean? Oh, this is my barcode field. This is my quantity field. Oh, here's a description field. Counterpoint will reject this descriptive line when we do an import. So if you get a single error on an import, that's why, and just don't be alarmed by it. It's perfectly normal. The other thing I want you to notice is the position of the values. So in position A, here's my barcode or item numbers. Counterpoint interprets this as position 1. In column B, I have my quantities. Counterpoint interprets this as position 2. And then you can have additional information on the spreadsheet. Again, more as like information to yourself. Maybe you want a description, maybe you want a price. When you're doing the imports, Counterpoint doesn't care about any of those values. It only cares about barcode item number and quantity. If you look over to my Notepad and WordPad examples, so I have ADM-TL2, 5. So ADM-TL2 is in position 1. The number 5 is in position 2. And again, you can have additional information. Maybe I have ADM-TL2, 9 iron, 5, 199.99. The only thing Counterpoint cares about, though, is that position where the item number or barcode is and where the quantity is. If you are working in an Excel spreadsheet and it defaults to an XLS, you'll need to save it as a CSV. And so when you go to save as, you've got a lot of CSV options like Macintosh and MS-DOS. The one that I recommend you use is the comma delimited CSV. When you go to save a WordPad or a Notepad, it defaults to a TXT. So when it comes to importing inventory adjustments, a lot of times when people go to inventory adjustments enter, they don't even notice this import button right on the first page. But if you click on that, you'll go to this screen. And this screen is looking for the import file. And that import file can be anywhere on your computer. I put mine on the desktop. So all you have to do is just use this ellipsis here, browse to the file, and then once you bring that file to the file name line, oh, notice also you need a location because it's a field in green. It'll default to the work group you're logged into. The transaction date will default to the current transaction date. The document number and the reference, they're just informational only. They don't do anything. And don't change the account code. Leave that alone. Once you select the file, you'll get a new screen. And you'll come here to the Advanced tab. And this is where you tell Counterpoint what position the value is in. So in this example, I have my barcode or item number in position 1 or column A of a CSV. My quantity is in position 3 or letter C in a CSV. And with importing adjustments, you can optionally import the adjustment reason code. So I put mine in column 4 or letter D in CSV. Click on import, and when you import, Counterpoint will bring the adjustments in an unposted state. So my recommendation is that you run your adjustment edit list, and if there aren't any corrections to make, go ahead and post. You can import to a receiving with or without a PO. So this example is without a PO. So I go to purchasing, receivings, enter like I normally do, click on the import button, and then at this screen, we're going to receive without a PO. So you have to actually check it because the default is to receive against a PO. You'll need to specify a vendor and a location. Now, Counterpoint's not clever about these spreadsheets. So if you have an import sheet that has a mix of Adams and Acme and Callaway products, Counterpoint's going to bring them all in under that one receiving for Adams. You want to specify a location. You're going to browse to the file name. You're going to give the receiver a number, either auto assign it or make up a number. Specify a date. The quantities are always going to be in the main stocking unit. And this box down here doesn't matter when you're importing without or when you're receiving without a PO. But the check vendor item numbers is a pretty cool one. If you use the vendor item number field on the item master, which is like the vendor's catalog number, that can also be in your item number barcode field. So you could have the item number, the barcode, or the vendor item number. Then you'll need to go to the Advanced tab, and you'll have to map the values. In this example, my item barcode or vendor item number is position 1, my quantities in position 3. You can verify the import. That's just going to say, whether or not Counterpoint's happy with what's in that file, but it doesn't do anything. It just verifies it. But if you really feel bold, you can go straight to import. There are a couple of switches here. One is to skip the first line in the file. So remember I showed you earlier in that spreadsheet how my first line had descriptive values. So I know that's always going to return an error. Well, if I check this box, I won't get the error. And then there's a box here to delete your import file after the import is completed. That's up to you. I typically keep mine and just rename them, but it's so you don't import twice is basically the goal there. Once you import, I recommend you review the unposted receivings in an edit list and make corrections as needed through enter, and then post when you're done. It's funny, it's called an edit list. I mean, you see edit list everywhere in Counterpoint, right? And you would think, oh, edit list, I should be able to edit things in the edit list. No, no. The edit list is simply a report. You cannot edit in the edit list, but you can go back to enter to edit. And I'll show you that a little bit later on. Okay, now to receive with a PO, starts off the same, purchasing, receiving, enter. Click on the import button. Now it defaults to receive against a PO. So here in the PO number, you're going to do a lookup for the PO you want to receive against. You're going to browse to the file, give the receiver a number or auto assign, specify a date. Now this switch down here, items not on PO. So let's say you put items on the spreadsheet that were not on the purchase order. Well, by setting this to items not on PO add lines, Counterpoint will add those lines from the spreadsheet to the purchase order. Then down here, now this box makes a difference when you're receiving against a PO. So basically what it's saying is, okay, if I ordered 5 on the PO, but only scanned 4 on my spreadsheet, make sure that that 1 defaults to a back order and stays open on the PO. Or you can say cancel. If the PO said 5 and the spreadsheet said 4, cancel the remaining 1, close it out of the PO. And then again, check your vendor item number. Then you go to the Advanced tab, specify a value for the item, barcode, vendor item number, the value for where the quantity is. And then, of course, you can verify, or you can go ahead and import. But after you import, run your edit list, make any corrections through enter, and post when you're done. Okay, transfer outs. Pretty easy. We go to transfers, transfer out, enter. Click on the import button, browse to the file, give the transfer number, a from and a to, specify a date if you like. It'll default to today's date. Put in your mapping values, and then import. After you're done importing, review the transfer out edit list, make any corrections necessary through enter, and then post. Okay, transfer in. There is a switch here to do a transfer in without a transfer out. Please don't do that. You will totally wreak havoc on your inventory numbers. You always want to do an in against an out. Here's why. If you just go into your main store and decide to do a transfer in from the East store, when you post that transfer in, you're going to decrement the source store inventory because the Counterpoint needs an audit trail. It needs to get those quantities from something. So if you say, well, here at Maine, I'm transferring in from East, the East inventory will be reduced upon posting. And of course, the Maine will be increased. But my recommendation is that you always receive against a transfer out. So on this page here, you'll select the transfer. You'll browse for the file, specify a date, who's doing the receiving. Then you're going to go to the Advanced tab, specify your mapping values. Then you're going to import, review your transfer and edit list, and then post if you're happy. When it comes to reporting, anything you post, no matter what it is, sales, adjustments, receivings, purchasing, that all becomes part of your permanent history. So just because, Counterpoint says, do you want to preview it and you say no, that report does not go into deep space, never to be seen again. It's always going to be part of your history. So when it comes to adjustments and transfers, if you go to inventory, reports, history, you'll see an adjustment history report. Now, this report has a name history in it, and anything in Counterpoint where you see the word history, please employ filters, at least dates. If you don't, let's say use a date, and you say, oh, run this history for my adjustments, and there's no dates, you're going to see all your adjustments from the dawn of time. And if you've been doing adjustments for 7, 8, 10 years, that's a lot of reporting. So after you specify a date or some type of filter criteria, you can preview or print. For receiving, purchasing reports history, receiving history, again, employ filters. Like here on the receiving history tab, I put in a received date, click on Preview or Print. For transfers, again, under Inventory Reports History, you'll have a transfer out history, a transfer in history, and then there's something called reconcile history. So when does a reconcile happen? Well, on the transfer out, I said there were 5. The destination said, there's only 4. Now, normally when that happens, the new expected goes to 1. I was expecting 5, I only got 4. Leave 1 open on this transfer. But if the destination store says, I'm never getting that from the main store, they change the new expected to 0, that generates a reconciliation, and that quantity that was set to 0, that new expected, will go back to the source store. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the software and take a look at all of this. I'm going to start with my import sheets. So here I just have them here on my desktop. And I'm just going to come to this item import sheet. So you can see here I have a column that represents the item number or barcode. Here I have a description that Counterpoint does not care about when I'm doing an import. Here's my quantity field, and notice I have negatives and positives. Negatives to do a downward adjustment, positive to do an upward adjustment. And then I also have a reason code right here. And also notice my line 1 does not have, values or just words, just to remind me what the column is for. And then I have one here in Notepad that you saw the screen example on. And there's one here in WordPad that you saw the screenshot on. So we're actually going to do an import. So I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to go back to Counterpoint. I'm going to go to Inventory, Adjustments, Enter. No black arrows, so there's nothing here. That's always a good thing. We're going to click on Import. I'm going to browse to the file. Counterpoint is defaulting to where it thinks the file should be, but that doesn't matter. You can put that file anywhere. I put mine on my desktop. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this item import. Again, I can put in a document, a reference. That's just informational. It doesn't do anything. I do need to go to advanced though, and there's a couple decisions to make here. If I have the type of spreadsheet where I'm only recording an item number or a barcode, then I can tell Counterpoint that if their quantity field is blank, just assume it's 1. I can also say, every value on this spreadsheet I entered as a positive number, but I really want Counterpoint to treat them as a negative. Use default cost, just leave that alone, please. So in my example, my barcode, my item number are in field 1. My quantity is in field 3. My adjustment reason code is in field 4 or position 4. I'm not going to tell Counterpoint to skip the first line so you can see the error that it returns. So now I can click on Verify. Verify doesn't do anything. It's just seeing if Counterpoint likes the file. So when I run Verify, you can see there were 23 lines in the import. Counterpoint was happy with 22 of them, but it didn't like 1 line. And you can see up here where it says line 1, item number is not on file or valid. And here are the values. This value called item number, product description, that has no meaning to Counterpoint. So if you get that error, it's no big deal. It should reject that line. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on import. Okay, same message here that I got in the verify. So look, now I have black arrows, which means there's something here. So I can use my right facing arrow and look through them, to review. That's fine. I can go to table view to review. This is kind of like looking at a spreadsheet. If I need to make edits, I can come here and make edits. Maybe I want this to be a downward adjustment of 6. So that's kind of the beauty of going into the table view. But maybe you're not a table view type of person. Maybe you're a report type of person. So if you want to run a report to review these adjustments, you come to the edit list, which doesn't mean edit, just means look at the report. There's nothing fancy you need to do in any edit list anywhere in Counterpoint. Just click on preview. And so here is a list of my unposted inventory adjustments. Now, at this point, I might say, oh, you know what, this item, I really meant to do an upward adjustment of 5 dozen, not a downward adjustment. So you can still fix it, but not in the edit list. So I'm going to go ahead and escape from the edit list. So what you need to do is you need to go back to inventory adjustments, enter, find the item, and then make your changes. I meant to do an upward adjustment, not a downward adjustment, and then save your changes. When it comes to posting these adjustments, you can post them one at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot of clicking. Or you could come here and everything that's unposted in adjustments will be posted. So there's kind of a gotcha there. So let's say you imported some adjustments, but meanwhile, somebody at another workstation was manually creating adjustments. If you come here and click on Inventory Adjustments Post, you will post your work and that other person's work at the same time. So you might want to check around before you do that. I'm not going to actually post these because I do want to show you something else. Something else that happens in real life is, I'm experimenting with this, just to see how it works. I really don't want to post anything or affect my inventory. I just wanted to see if I could import these transactions, and now I want to get rid of them. Or, whoops, I accidentally imported this and didn't mean to, wrong spreadsheet. So if you just come back to enter, and what I'm going to show you is true in most table views everywhere, and not all of them, but most of them, you can actually bulk delete. So if I come here to this little icon, table view, I hold down my shift key and my down arrow. See how all the lines are getting highlighted? And then once I have everything highlighted, I can click on this X on the toolbar and goodbye. And notice it says here there's 22 records. When you looked at your import, it told you how many lines the import pulled in, then maybe you weren't paying attention to it. If you ever go into a table view anywhere in Counterpoint, you want to know, maybe you've got a filtered view, but you want to know how many are here without counting, like, 1, 2, 3. That's kind of silly. If you come up to this title bar up here at the top and you right click and you go to table information, Counterpoint will tell you how many records there are. So there's 22. Okay, so now let's do a receiving import without a PO. So I'm going to go to purchasing. I'm going to go to receiving. Receiving's enter. I'm going to click on import. I'm going to receive without a PO. I'm going to select a vendor. In this case, I want Adams. This is coming to my main location. I'm going to browse to my import file. And we'll just do that one. I'm going to give my receiver a number. Defaults to today's date. This box down here doesn't matter because we're receiving without a PO. I'm going to come here to advanced. And on my receiving spreadsheet, my item barcode are in position 1, my quantities in position 2. I can still skip that first line and prompt to delete the file. So I'm just going to go ahead and import. And again, it comes into Counterpoint as an unposted transaction. So if you have more spreadsheets to import, you can save this one and then move on to your next one by clicking on the plus sign and importing. But I just have this one. So you can review it right here at the document level. Just go to lines, just review, make sure everything looks good. Or if you're not the type of person to review through the document, you want to run a report, just come to the edit list. Of course, you can't edit anything here. And when you run the edit list, all you need to do is preview. There's nothing fancy you need to do here. And there is a report of this receiver and the items on the receiver. Now, same with adjustments. Ooh, that ADMTL2, I really meant to order 50. Well, there's still time to fix it. So I'm just going to exit from this report. I'm going to go back to enter. I'm going to find the receiver. So there's black arrows up here. Let me bring that down. So there's something here. Whenever you see black arrows, there's something here. I'm going to go to lines. There's my ADMTL2. I'm highlighting it. And I'm going to come down here and say, I really wanted 50 of these, or I really got 50 of these, not 5. All right. And then when I'm done, I can save, or I can come straight down here and post. If you post before you save, that's perfectly fine. Counterpoint will just auto save when you click on post. Or you were just playing around and wanted to see how this all worked. If you want to delete this, save it first if you made changes, and then you can delete it right here. I prefer that you post at the document level, and this all speaks to printing labels after the fact. It's just easier to print labels from a document if you're posting them one at a time. But I can understand where that might be a little too much clicking if you imported, 4 or 5, 10 receivers. So if you just want to post everything all together rather than one document at a time, you can come here to Receivings Post, but it's that same gotcha. When you click on Receivings Post, Counterpoint's going to post all unposted receivings. So if somebody else is working on a receiving and they're not finished with it, maybe they saved it and went to lunch, you're going to end up posting their unfinished work. Okay, let's talk about receiving with a PO. So same place, Receivings Enter. I'm still going to click on Import, but this time I'm going to take the default, which is Receive a PO. I'm going to go into my PO lookup. I'm going to find my PO. It's right here. I'm going to browse to my file. Now in this file, this is a bunch of gridded items. And remember I said, if it's gridded items, that value that contains the item number or barcode, it must be the barcode specific to the color and size. So I'm just going to come here and find my import sheets. So here's this one, see it says grids. I'm going to go ahead and open. I'm going to assign a number. Again, I can, put in a date. Oh, down here now. So now if my PO said 20, but my spreadsheet only has 5, then Counterpoint will leave 15 open of that item on the PO, assuming the vendor is going to send it to you at a later date. If I click on cancel and there's a discrepancy between what I ordered and what I received, I ordered 20, I only received 5, then Counterpoint's not going to put that other 15 to back order. It's going to say, oh, no back order, close out this item on this PO. And again, if you're using vendor item numbers, this can be the value, but only for flat items, not for gridded items. I'm going to go to advanced. My item barcode, that's my barcode in this example, is in position 1, quantity is in position 2. And again, you can see we can skip that first line and we can prompt to delete the file. I'm just going to go ahead and be brave and import. It's not the end of the world if you import and it's wrong, because remember, it's in an unposted state, so you can always delete them. This spreadsheet is not that big. The bigger your spreadsheet is, the longer it takes to do imports. So you can see I had a line rejected, and it's because on line 1, I had this value called barcode, quantity, and grid dimension information, and Counterpoint has no idea what that means. I'm just going to close this. So now I can go to lines, and I can review. So you can see here, I expected 42 on the PO, but I only received in 23. And because I set the switch to back order, 19 are going to be left on the PO as open items. So it's not going to affect the 23 we receive. It's just going to have 19 on back order for this one item. If you need to make corrections, now this is a gridded item, so it's a little bit different than a flat item. You're going to have to highlight the line. You're going to have to come down here to this funny little icon next to quantity received. And here you can see what we expected, but there was nothing received on this line, and there was nothing received for these. So these are all going to go to back order. And if I just come over here, they automatically go to back order. Okay, now I can post at the document level, which is what I usually recommend. But if you've got a bazillion of these and you just want to post everything all together, you can. So I'm just going to save because I did make a change here. Counterpoint thinks I made a change. Maybe I just want to run my edit list instead of looking at the individual receivers. I just want one big report. I can go to my edit list, preview. There it is, a list of all my receivings that I imported. And again, you can import more than one. And if I don't want to post them one at a time, I can just come here to receivings post and post them all together. Same gotcha. Okay, transfers. So to import a transfer out, it's going to seem a little repetitious at this point. Inventory, transfers, transfer out, enter. I'm going to import, browse to my file, and there it is. Transfer from, well, it's coming from the main. I'm transferring to my eStore. Then I'm going to come here to advanced. My item number is in position 1. My quantity is in position 2. And I'm going to go ahead and import. Okay. I didn't have a header line here, so there were no errors. So now I can actually look at the transfer, come here and review. Maybe I need to make some changes. I can. I want to save. Or, I did a bunch of these transfer out imports. I don't want to sit here and look at them one at a time. You could actually go to table view and look at them. Your summary information will be up here, your item detail down here. Or you can go to the edit list, because that'll show you unposted transfer outs. And again, preview. Oh, you know what? Oh, this item, I really meant to transfer 10. So I'm just going to close out of here. I'm going to go back to enter. There's black lines or something here. I'm going to find the transfer. Go to lines. Scroll up a little bit. And here's the item that I really want to transfer 10 of. So I'm clicking on the item. See how there's a caret over here. I'll come down here and I'll say, whoop, I meant to transfer 10 of those. And, I can post from here. If I post, it'll auto save. Or maybe I have some other transfers I need to look at. So I can save and then scroll to other transfers. And again, you can post at the document level, which is what I prefer for printing purposes later in the day. Or you can come here to transfer out post and post them all together. Same rules. If somebody else is working on a transfer out, you'll end up posting their unfinished work if they're not done. Transfer in. I always recommend an in against an out to keep your inventory straight. So I'm going to go to, oh, I forgot to post that transfer out. Post. Otherwise, I'll have nothing to transfer in. Okay, so I'm going to go to transfer in, enter. I'm going to import. I'm going to receive against a transfer. So please don't use this down here. Always receive against a transfer. I'm going to go into the lookup. Here's my transfer right here. Click OK. I'm going to browse to my file. And there it is. And again, I'm going to go to advanced. And guess what? I'm going to put in the mapping values. Oh, I don't have my quantity in position 3. It's definitely in position 2 on that spreadsheet. And then I'm going to go ahead and import. And then close. And then, of course, I want to review. I can review at the document level, or I can run the edit list. But you do want to review. So if I come here to lines, remember I was talking earlier about that reconciled? Here's what that means. You can see here I expected 10. I only had 5 on my spreadsheet. So 5 are going to remain open on the transfer out. And maybe as the receiving person at this destination store, I'm like, they're never going to send me that other 5. You change it to a 0. That will close this item out of this transfer out. So again, I can post. If I post, it auto saves, or I can save and come here and post everything all together, because I did multiple transfer ins. So I'm just going to say yes. Okay, and it's all happy. But in the background, Counterpoint did generate an audit trail because that quantity got sent back to the originating store. Okay, so reporting. So to report on our inventory adjustments or our transfers, it's inventory, reports, history. Here's my adjustment history report, transfer in history, transfer out history. No matter which of these reports you run, again, it has that word history in it. So if I come straight here to adjustment history and I preview, that means every adjustment I've ever created in this install, going all the way back to 2001. So I strongly recommend using some type of filter. If you come here to this tab, Inventory Adjustment History, I'm just going to put in year to date. By the way, date shortcuts, in case you don't know, you haven't talked to me before, T for today. T for today, any date field in Counterpoint. If you want to go backwards, if you just type a minus sign in a date field, Counterpoint goes backwards. It looks to the current date and goes backwards. If you do a plus sign, Counterpoint looks to the future. Okay, so T for today. The shortcut for the beginning of the year is Y. And this is for your fiscal year. Mine happens to be the 1st of January. So if I do a Y, that means beginning of the year. So now I'm just going to run my report. And you can see my reason codes are here, but they're not really grouped together. I mean, they're kind of in alphabetical order here, but there's a better way to do this. If you use this drop down and choose this selection, it'll group everything up by reason code. So if I preview, you'll see that where I didn't use reason codes, these all pull to the top. And if I go to the next page, let's see if I can scoot this over. Scoot you over. My little toolbars are getting in my way. So you can see here, now all my damages are showing up, all grouped together. All my shrink reason codes all grouped together. Okay. Same is true with your transfer in history. When it loads, you're going to go somewhere and specify something in a filter, typically a date. Here I'd go to transfer in history, maybe, date received. Maybe I'll do month to date. The shortcut for the first day of the month is M as in month. Then I can preview. And there is a journal of all my transfer ins. And then for transfer outs, pretty much the same story. Go somewhere, use a filter. I'm going to go here to transfer. I'm going to make this week to date. The shortcut for the first day of the week is W, as in week. And I can preview. And there you are, my transfer out journal for week to date. For receiving, that lives in a different area. I'm going to go home, purchasing, reports, history, receiving history. Again, that word history, we really want to filter. So I'll just go to receiving history. I'll go ahead and filter. Oh, little pop-up, these are so annoying. I'm going to go to receiving history. Stop popping up. There we go. And I'm just going to say, I want to see everything I received today, T for today. Maybe I even want to only see things I received for today for Adams. Spelling counts, by the way. So now when I preview, there's everything I've received from Adams today. And notice how this is kind of a summary. It's not really giving you a lot of item detail where the other reports did. If you come back here to parameters and print line item, oh, well, maybe I missed it. Let's preview that again. Oh, it does have item detail. Look right there, right in front of me. Okay, so that's importing transactions and, running the edit list, making corrections through enter, and then running your history reports. So let's go from here. So hopefully on today's takeaway, you learned a few things. One of them, how to create a CSV or a text file, how to import a CSV or text file, And I'm just going to change a little setting here. There we go. Um, and also how to run your edit list to review your work, go to enter to correct your work, and of course, run the corresponding history reports. I always love to hear from you, love your feedback, your topic suggestions. I'm looking for 2023 right now. By Monday, you'll get a copy of the recording, and there will also be a survey attached. It's like a happy face, sad face type of affair. You can remain anonymous, but I'd appreciate you taking out the survey or filling out the survey. Or if you're just so excited about today's webinar and you want to fill out your survey right away, just go out to our website, www.cksystem.com/training bites survey, and you can fill it out there. If you would like customized training tailored to your business, your data, give me a call. You know, these webinars are great, but they are for the masses. And every time you're looking at my data, it's all golf store related. And that's great if you have a golf store. So if you really want that custom training, give me a call at the toll free number, 888-476-7911, extension 3, or you can email training@cksystem.com. Next month on June the 8th, the topic will be gift registry, which aren't for baby showers anymore or just for baby showers anymore. People have registries, it's a wish list. Maybe I'm graduating and this is what I want for a graduation present. Maybe I'm having a birthday. This is what I want for my birthday. Anniversary, baby shower, wedding shower, whatever the case may be. It is an add on option that you do pay extra for, but it's a great way to keep track of this wish list electronically instead of in a book with pieces of paper that could float away and get lost. So definitely join me on June the 8th. Okay, now on to Q&A. Looks like we had a question in here already. Okay. This is a very good question from Kelly. I got this question this morning too. Well, if I'm receiving against a PO, why do I bother with doing an import? And again, a very valid question. And if you are the type of company that always does POs, good for you. In my experience, not everybody does POs, but there is kind of a benefit to doing that import sheet, and it's from a validation standpoint. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go back into the software. A good question. It's like, what's the point? I always do POs. Here's the point. So I'm going to go to receivings, and I'm going to go to receivings enter, and I'm going to auto assign, and that's going to pop up my open POs. So I'm just going to grab this one here. Oh, never mind. I've got an unposted receiver for that one here. Let's choose this one. Okay. So, this pop-up comes up and it basically says, oh, I see you're receiving against a PO. I'm just going to assume everything that's on the PO is on this receiver, which may or may not be true. But here's where the validation part comes in. If you're using this method, which is perfectly fine, you need a human intervention at some point in time. So the human intervention is to come here to lines, right? Somebody has to open the box, look inside the box, count what's in the box, and make sure it matches what's on your screen. So that would be the benefit of the import. It would validate. But good question. I appreciate that. I'll just cancel what I'm doing right there. And let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, I don't see any. I'll just give it a couple of seconds. When importing a CSV into receivings, where can you put the invoice number so you can search it in history? Um, the reference should work. There's also that document number line. It's a good question, Russ. No one's ever asked me that before. But I would think, let's just take a look. We'll do one real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and import, and I'll just do it without a PO. And I'll browse to the file name. So let's go here. Let's just pick my receiving import. Okay, we'll give this a number. We'll go to advanced. Aha. So there was a document number on the, well, that's just silliness, right? So there's nowhere here on the import to do it, but there is still something you can do. It's going to be a little manual. So I'll just go ahead and import this. So there's nothing on the import itself. Such a good question. You can actually here on the receiving tab, you can see a comment automatically populates added during import. But you can actually put your reference number here. This is a invoice number reference. You could also put it in your comment fields. These comment fields should print. We'll see. Invoice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just go ahead and post this and we'll see. And now I got to go look at that particular receiving. And I want to look at my posted receivers. And I only want to see today. So T for today. Okay, preview. Okay, so there's my comment, but I don't see my second comment or my reference. Up, there we go. Here we are. So I do see the comment lines automatically appear, but that reference line does not. But I think it might appear on a journal. So let's go see real quick, because sometimes what you don't see on a form will show up on a journal. So I'm just going to go to reports and journals. And I'm going to go to this receiving journal here. But this time I need an event. So I can't filter for date ranges in a journal. That's kind of a limitation of journals. But here's the most recent posting. And I will click on preview. And it will run one of these days. Okay, so no comments, no reference. Let's see, there's another page here. Nope. So yeah, your answers, oh no, here they are. Look at that. Here you are. So here's your answer. Use the comment fields after you do the import. The reference field, I mean, you might be able to see it in a view, but you're not going to see it on a print form or a report. Okay, good question. All right, got a couple more. Okay, when looking at history reports, I don't see a reference. Yeah, that's correct. The comment lines, yes, yeah. Okay, good. Good to know. All right, glad I could be helped. Yeah, you just have to know where to look. I mean, when I first looked at this journal, I was like, nope, no comments, but here they are. So you have to pay attention. I do not see the reference, though. Now, I don't know if you can see a view. Here's a view. I'm going to talk about views in another webinar. I think I've got this on my schedule for next year. I like views because you can manipulate them. So let's say I did that import and I wanted to see the reference. Let's see here. There it is. So you could add that reference field to a view, and then you would actually see it, but not on a report, just, in looking. All right, hopefully that helped you out a little bit. A lot of people overlook the value of a view. Views are pretty awesome. And again, because they can be manipulated, whereas most reports in Counterpoint cannot be manipulated. Okay, any other questions? Well, as always, I know this was a little bit longer than some of our sessions. I so appreciate your time and setting aside time to, to attend the webinars. Hopefully I see you on June the 8th for gift registry. Okay, thank you, everyone.